Pretty much every coaching session I do on Anubis, I find myself repeating everyone's roles and how Anubis functions in general. So this video is just a quick little helper to try and get you guys up to speed. Also, I'll go ahead and link my coaching down below. I can't take any sessions this week, but next week I should be good. So just quick fire, the A player's job is generally to deny an A rush and try and live. If he's alone, he probably wants to play retake. If he has his mid player rotate in, then he could potentially play cake. He could shift over here after smoking a main, or he could play along this wall and jiggle with like molly or smoke out. The last video that I went over highlighted the mid player's role, but basically what the mid player does is he also denies a mid rush and he tries to pass information to the rest of his team. If he's solo, he probably shouldn't hard fight for mid and rather just pass information to the rest of his team and play over here. If he is solo, then his opper is probably over towards B, so he has enough time to come over here, fall into camera, and by that time his opper should be rotated somewhere around this area. You have an E-box player whose main job is to put pressure on canals, not really do anything too crazy, but it's good every couple rounds and a half or something like that to just go for a swing, maybe with a teammate's flash, and just try and do some sort of pressure on canals so they can't just instantly walk up in the early round, take this control, and then you're forced back into sight on B. This pressure also doesn't have to come in the form of you swinging. It could be you throwing a smoke like this and just delaying, acting like you're playing in E-box. It's also really good to throw this smoke and then go back B main and try and re-aggress. When you get the opper over here, he can flash. The smoke on E-box makes it look like you're playing on E-box, and then both your B players take that flash and try and fight anyone B main who don't think you're going to peek because they think you're in E-box. And the B site player's job is to, yes, deny a rush, but also pass information to his E-box player. There was a video recently that Austin CS did where he talked about not smoking B main early in the round. And this is true. Some rounds it will make sense, but for the best part, it's better to just hold B main and then molly it if you see anything, rather than just go ahead and smoke it and, of course, let them cross over to this side and then bully your E-box player. Notice how every role that I just highlighted goes over playing for information early in the round rather than trying to fight for a kill. If you're alone, you don't want to try and take a fight early in the round because there's a higher % chance that the T's are grouped, which means you're taking a 1v2 or a 1v3, which percentage-wise is pretty bad. Now, you'll also notice I didn't go over the opper's role on this map, and that's because the opper doesn't really have a spot that they go to, rather they just float between the sites. Similar to the way I was saying, if the mid player gets pressured, he can call the opper over to mid, he'll fall into camera, and then the opper will be over here. And this will happen if the opper wants to start towards B. If the opper wants to start towards mid, and let's say the mid player does a molly on mid, he comes out here and he nades, he smokes afterwards, and he gets a flash from his opper. Then this opper knows that, yeah, they're probably not rushing mid. There's probably no need for me to be mid right now. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate towards B. And usually by the time they're making their rotate, that is when the T's will be going to where he's making his rotate to. So if I'm on T side and I hear the CTs fight for mid and my entire team is at B, I'm going to tell my team they know we're not mid. We should speed up towards B. So this is the time you want to try and catch as the opper, and this can go for rotating from mid to B, rotating from B to mid, or even rotating from mid to A. Before I get into the rest of the video, I'd like you guys to check out today's sponsor, Skinsmonkey. Have a skin you're getting bored of? Trade it. Want a skin at the lowest price on the market? Buy it. Skinsmonkey is the best automated skin trading site with a large selection of skins to choose from and a 24/7 live chat support. You get a 30% deposit bonus, and using code POLO, you can get an extra 5% on top of that. Meaning if you want a skin worth $135, but you only have 100, you can get that skin on Skinsmonkey right now. And if you don't have anything to trade, they do free giveaways every day, so everyone has something to gain from using Skinsmonkey. Using code POLO, you can also get a $5 bonus on your first trade, so click the link in my description, use code POLO, and make the most of it. Now, talking about T-side, there's no real standard default that you play on T-side. It's generally going to be, you know, a 3-1-1 or a 2-2-1. And what I mean by that is, let's say 3 players towards B main trying to take B fights, or 3 players towards mid trying to work mid control, with 1 guy holding B, 1 guy spotting canals, or potentially 2 people working E-box, 1 guy spotting A main, 1 guy mid holding mid push, and 1 guy B holding B push. So the defaults are generally going to be like 3-1-1. You could do 2-2, where you have 2 people working towards B, 2 people working towards mid, but neither of these fronts of your attack are going to be very strong because it's only 2 players. And if the CTs do any sort of aggression, it's probably going to be with 2 players and potentially with a flash. So percentage-wise, splitting up 2-2 is okay, but as long as you don't expect a push. Now, common places that the opper will default to is going to be defaulting towards B. I like to do this play in my matches on the team that I'm on right now. I'll just go ahead and smoke left side at B, come over here, and I'll just tell my opper, who is Skadoodle, to come over here and post up on these angles and just trying to take dry fights on B site. If you're better than the other team, and even if you're not better than the other team, you have a one-shot gun, this will give you some pretty high percentage fights. Another place oppers will like to go is if they have the best spawn, they'll come over here and run from mid. They'll go over towards mid as quickly as they can, and they'll go for this peek on red. And notice how when I was talking about T side, you can throw a molly, and when you come up, you can throw a nade. Sometimes players will try and do this when they don't have the best spawn. So if you have the best spawn with the op, there's a lot of times you'll catch any CT with, I think it's the 3rd through 5th spawn towards mid. You'll catch them with their nade out, and this could be a pretty free pick. And even if you have the left side pick spawn, so if you come over here and you get this spawn, you do pretty much the same pick, and this is around the same time that you'd peek from right side as well. Another common place that oppers will go is steps and just post on E-box. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can either hold it like this as long as you have players working mid and make sure that you can't get peeked from mid bridge. But you could also come over here and play on this pillar. And the reason why this is good is because better teams right now are throwing this flash that goes over and is supposed to blind any opper right here. It pops right above this. So if anyone tries to fight canals or go for an E-box peek, this flash will pretty much always be coming over and level 10 face it. So sometimes oppers have been going over here. You dodge the flash, you kill anyone who thinks you're blind, and they're just swinging. It is a free kill. And the reason why this spot is really good for oppers is because it's very quick to hold A or hold E-box based off what your team is working. So let's say your teammates are working towards E-box and you throw like a flash for them to get them in. You can just immediately go ahead and hold A push. So if anyone's a main and they hear, you take E-box, this might prompt them to push a main. So if you're opping steps, you're already close enough to just hold and pretty much get that reaction instantly. But with all of this in mind, you still want to outline roles. So you still want to have like a B defaulter, a mid defaulter, an E-box player, an opper, and then usually the 5th player, at least in the system that I have called, doesn't really have a role, and that's usually me since I'm IGLing. So I just float between which area of the map I want to work, and I'll just on the fly where I want the other 3 players to be. If I want to work towards B, I'm going to ask my B defaulter what the CT7 doing B main. I'm going to go B main with him, and I'll probably call the opper over as well, or maybe, the E-box player and have my opper go steps, and then we'll just triple work B main. If I want to work mid, I'll call over the opper, and I'll work with the mid player on what control makes most sense. Do we boost and have a guy walk through? Do we boost the op? Does the op go for pick? Do we nade the smoke so the op goes for pick? There's a lot of different ways you can work on this part of the map, but I'll just kind of on the fly that based on how the rounds have been going. If I want to work towards E-box, I'll just link up with the E-box player, and I'll have the opper do exactly what I was saying before. He just goes ahead and holds our main push while we're working E-box. If we want to get into E-box, he can come over here and throw a flash for us to get in. He can post on flank. And then while all this is going on, my mid player could be walking back towards B, and then we could be doing a B split. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of play this map on T side. That's just how I like to do it, is the 1-1-3 kind of style. Again, there is a 2-2-1 that isn't, it isn't the worst. I just don't prefer to have like a 3-pronged attack that's all kind of just on all sides. So yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and peace.